thank you for still staying with us. We are still on the Special Armed Forces Remembrance Day coverage, talking about the Armed Forces Remembrance Day for the year 2023. And now we are turning the spotlight to the economics of security, or the economics of insecurity, so to speak. I have my guests with me in the studio, and we'll be looking at the impact of insecurity on the Nigerian economy and even on businesses and the pockets of Nigerians in the next minutes of the program. I want to introduce my guest. Now, it is normally said that ladies first. So I have a woman with me in the studio. I'm not the only woman in the studio. She is Morenike Grace Henry. She is the Director of Corporate Communications, Corporate Affairs at the Nigerian Legion. Welcome to the program, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, madam.
I have two gentlemen with me. Of course, like I said, we are looking at finance, business, economy, and we are looking at security. So it's kind of a division, and we have two erudite gentlemen joining us, and they will be also giving perspective to these issues from the part of the Nigerian economy and how insecurity has, of course, affected the economy. And we'll be looking at it from the prism of security also. There is a direct nexus between issues around security and the economy. I have Stephen Okori. He is a security analyst. He's joining us on the program now. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for joining us. And Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, financial analyst. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
So it's a full house. However, before we continue, let's quickly reel out some statistics on what's really happening in that sphere in the country. I'll begin by telling you the states most affected by Boko Haram's deadly attacks in Nigeria from the year 2011 to the year 2022. Now we have Borno State topping that list, 35,646. Zamfara is also there at 5,747. Kaduna is also on that list at 5,462. Adamawa 4,097. Benue State 3,774. Plateau State 3,359. Yobe State 3,176. Now, this is the state most affected. Now, let's also give you some back-end data. Now, at least 7,222 Nigerians have been killed and 3,823 abducted as the country witnessed 2,840 incidents of insecurity between January 1 and July 29, 2022. No fewer than 1,499 people were injured during the various attacks witnessed in 505 local government areas in the country. About 653.7 million naira was paid as ransom in Nigeria between July 2021 and June 2022. Now, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, ACLED, Nigeria has lost no fewer than 8,343 persons to farmers-herders conflict since the year 2005. More than 2,600 civilians have been killed by armed bandits in 2021. According to the International Organization for Migration, that's the IOM, as of June 2022, a total of 2.19 million internally displaced persons were identified in 452,219 households, and the Armed Forces of Nigeria received 2.5 trillion naira in 7 years as budgetary provision. So we have the background there talking about data. It is normally said that data tells you the truth. It gives a picture to your story. I would come to my guests now and we'll get opening statements from the panel we have here with us in the studio. And I'll begin from Stephen Okori, security analyst. I want to get your thoughts now. Is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the climate of security in Nigeria? Calibrate for me what your thoughts are at the moment.
I want to start by saying that my heart goes to the families of fallen heroes. You know, this is a period where we are supposed to celebrate them, honor them, and remember them because of the supreme prices they have paid, you know, to see that the territorial boundaries are so protected and the lives and properties as well are also protected, you know. They have sacrificed their lives in doing all that. So it's a good thing that the government is, or Nigeria is honoring them, you know. But what bothers me now is that the families that they have left behind, how how well are they faring, because their breadwinners have gone, by paying the supreme price. So how well are their families faring, and their welfare, their upkeep, and all that. So I think this is what the government should take into serious consideration, so that the ones that are still alive, that are, trying to protect the country, will so do it with high motivation, So that's my take on that.
Dr. Elias, now I want you are the financial analyst on the table,
right.
And when in my opening statements I made mention of the economics of security.
Right.
Tell me, what do you think currently? What do you have to say about the economic landscape vis-a-vis the security situation in the country?
Basically, the economic thrives when there is a security, a balanced security and well-organized security. When you don't have security, economics must have a challenge. And if you look at it, Nigeria, we have our own share of that economic challenge because of insecurity. If you look at our GDP, average growth rate of GDP for Nigeria, let's look at from Obasanjo, it's 7.7%. It comes to Yar'Adua, 7.1%. And when it is Jonathan time, it was 5.5%. And now it is 1.1%. And you agree with me that nothing contributes more. Even with the fact that we have global crisis, security is major challenge, because investment cannot come into a country that have security challenges. So most of our people, another thing is that our security challenge is multi-dimensional. When you are looking at farmer herders crisis, you're also looking at organized kidnapping, you're looking at insurgency, you're looking at terrorism, you are also looking at maybe Biafra and what have you issues. For people not to go to work or every Monday, you know what it means economically? It affects them personally, and it affects the totality of gross domestic product of the country. So it's a serious issue that we need to look at very, very well. And apart from that, budgetarily also, which is the major thing. For this 2022 budget, the budget of security itself took about 15% of the entire budget, which is about 2.4 trillion. That's a whole amount, whereby it has consumed education and health, because education is about 7% or so, while health is about 5%. Together is 12%, and security alone is taking 15%. That means the economy is going to suffer for it, the infrastructure will suffer for it, a lot of things will suffer for it. So I think there is need for us to look into our security, because to have to reduce poverty itself, there must be a good security. No security, no investment. No foreign direct investment will come into a volatile environment.
Now, I want to bring in Morenike Grace Henry now into the discussion. She's the Director of Corporate Affairs, Nigeria Legion. I want you to tell me, what do you feel about the mood for today, talking about the Armed Forces Remembrance Day? As somebody that I know you must interface with a lot of those in this chain, what are your thoughts on the mood for today?
First of all, thank you very much. I salute the widows, their children, and mostly the people that depend on the fallen heroes and the veterans themselves. When we talk about security, it's like you train a child to school. You say because the child has finished school, let the child just be going about on his own and look for work. Nigeria of these days, if you don't push for your child, the child will get nowhere. Like the veterans that are alive, the federal government have spent a lot of them on them, training them to become whatever they are. Why can't you bring these people together? In every locality, in every state, we have veterans. You train these people, the impacts you are put in them, you use them for security. Most veterans, they left the service. Some maybe because of the promotion. Some maybe because they were not really fitting to where they are. They want to do something else outside. Why can't we bring all these people together in this country and give them more training and not allow their training that they have previously to be wasted and use them for the security of the country? I
want to still stay with you now, talking about the issue of veterans and harnessing the capacity of those veterans to further drive the country to become more secure? I know, like I mentioned earlier, you interface with a lot of these people, especially around the armed forces, talking about your position. Now, do you have any sort of statistics, or do you have any first-time reports from those at the front line with regards to what we are discussing today?
The statistic, we need to go through the pension board to get the statistic of the veterans. You know, it's when the President Buhari, His Excellency, just came in. The Nigerian Legion have been existing for the past almost 50 years or 50-something years, but it has not been properly taken care of until President Buhari came on board. He found out that there is something to do with the veteran. There is a way to bring the veteran together, you know, and do something with them. We are just starting. But the statistic you are asking for, once we go to the pension board, we get all these things from there.
I want to come to Stephen Okwori. Now, in your opening thoughts, you spoke about the widows, basically welfare of those that our fallen heroes that have put themselves at the front line to ensure that our territories, lives and properties are secure. You spoke about their welfare. I want to ask you now, we're talking about budgetary allocations, and even when these monies are allocated to defense, there is some part of it that should go for issues around taking care of the welfare of the dependents, yes, let me put it that way, of fallen heroes or the dependents of those in the front line. What do you think is the best way to nip this issue in the bud in terms of upping the welfare of those that are being left behind by these fallen heroes?
I think two keywords are relevant here: accountability and monitoring. You know, when such provisions is made available, if they are not properly monitored to see that it is channeled to the appropriate quarters, you know, you have deficiencies in trying to see that the aim is achieved. And accountability also is very key here. People that are saddled with the responsibilities of taking care of all that must be accountable for the job they're beginning to do. You know, so the event where they are not accountable and it's not properly monitored, you can't get result. You know, so the whole idea is that there should be transparency in carrying out these tasks as well. You know, so a whole lot comes, and you see, when issues like this come on board, the average Nigerian, no matter the position the person is, he begins to think of his personal interest or pocket. You know, and that is where the issue of corruption comes on board. You know, so there's a whole lot that needs to be done. But once these key elements are applied, you know, in terms of trying to see how the widows and the, would I say, they're not orphans, some of them are orphans anyway, you know, once all these are taken care of, I think the government will go a long way in trying to see how these issues are managed properly. And going forward, just the way I said in my introduction, if soldiers that are in the forefront are deployed to go out to carry this task of protecting lives and property on our territorial boundaries, it will give them that boost that if anything happens to them, you know, their families will not suffer for it, you know. But in the event where they are alive and they see that their fallen colleagues, you know,
fallen comrades,
their families are suffering and all that, they will begin to have some begin to think twice about what they are in for, trying to say how to protect the country.
Okay, before I come to Dr. Elias, let's quickly take a listen to still staying with welfare of those that have been left behind by these fallen heroes. Let's quickly take a listen to this report.
Apart from the traditional laying of wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, part of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is the launch of an appeal fund to support ex-servicemen and widows by the Nigerian Legion. Noble as the intention is, the concern among many has been whether or not the money raised from the launch of the emblem actually reaches members of the Nigerian Legion and widows of the fallen heroes.
We've been attending and promises are being made, but one is always surprised that these promises are not fulfilled until the next year, when an appeal fun day like this is coming up before you start seeing people fulfilling their promises. How do you then take care of the families of the fallen heroes?
I have children. I have 9 children. I go down because nothing. The children, they're there for us. I know they get anything for government. I know they get.
Chairman of the Nigeria Legion Gombe State Chapter, Adamu Dogo, assured of judicious distribution of funds realized through donations and sales of emblems to members.
You know, everybody have his own administration. In the next 4 years, if I continue getting assistance, surely I know that I'm going to do something in which that I will show His Excellency that what he have given me, I have used it, especially the widows and their defendants.
At the 2023 launching of the Emblem Appeal Fund, Gombe State government donated the sum of 5 million naira to the ex-servicemen and widows.
At this particular point, I wish to say that the Gombe State government, standing on the same 5 million of last year, is launching this appeal fund with the sum of 5 million naira, and I call on other individuals and organizations to donate towards this noble and desired event. May our Creator bless whatever will be realized, and may it be used for the purpose for which it was meant.
Beyond the solemn commemoration of the day, members of the Nigerian Legion say they need support from governments and well-meaning Nigerians to survive, especially at a time of soaring prices of goods and services. From Gombe.
There you have it there, quite striking. One of the respondents there saying that she has not received anything from government. And I want to bring Morenike Grace Henry here because at the Nigerian Legion, I don't know if opportunities have been brought to your table to interface with those at the government in terms of looking at the welfare of these dependents that the fallen heroes have left behind. Tell me, from the front lines, what is the situation currently?
Really, we have faced a lot of challenges. Even under this emblem we're selling, you will see a lot of people will tell you that they are not buying. Even these governors that you see, after pledging, if they go to them, the chairman of Nigerian Legion in that state goes to them. They don't pledge. They don't pay their pledges. On the 27th of November was Humanitarian Day in Nigerian Legion. We go out search for money. Very few people that are listening to us. At the end of the day, my national chairman, Major General Jubril, and some other people among us have to go and search for money and buy rice to give these women 27th of December for their Christmas, and give them some few wrappers, you know, to manage for their children, themselves and their children. I've always been going on air to talk about it. We don't have to wait for the government to help us. We have a lot of so-called billionaires, politicians. They are there. They use these same people during election to vote them in. What takes them helping these people? These are the people that help you. These are the people that died for you. These are the people their husband died because of you. These are the people that take care of you.
It's on a day like this, just like you have stated, that some of the billionaires you have stated and a lot of the elites, it's on a day like this that the clarion call is made, at least as an appeal to ensure that they also step up to the plate, be it in terms of corporate social responsibility, to come and also bring their hands to the table to address some of these concerns. I'll come back to you shortly. Let me come to Dr. Aliyu Elias now. You spoke about budgetary allocations to the security architecture of Nigeria, and looking at this is like the last one we're going to see the president, the last Armed Forces Remembrance Day. We're going to see the president laying a wreath for the commemoration of the day. Do you think we have seen some sort of justification in terms of results for monies that have been churned into the security sector?
All right, it's quite a challenging time for the forces generally at this point in time. So we wouldn't say it's enough, we have done enough financially to really help these people, because like they rightly mentioned, if the way you are treating the current people now, the fallen heroes, you know, their families, their widows, that's what will make people want to be part of it, and perhaps it will make people to focus on what they need to do and do it rightly. But in terms of budgetary allocation, we must come clean in this area. I wouldn't know about the delivery of it itself, of the operationalization of the fund, but for this Buhari administration, he has expended a lot of budgetary allocation to the Nigeria armed forces. We know when we say Nigerian armed forces, it depends on the arms of it. Some monies are even going for infrastructure and what have you. But in terms of the management, I think this is where we need the National Assembly to carry out a proper oversight function on this monetary allocation. Because 2.4 trillion in this budget, and you could see that during the 2016, in his first budget, it was 441 billion naira. So it has moved from then to trillion, and now it's 2.4 trillion. So all we just need to do is to monitor it, and we can also do more without letting other economic things to suffer, because it's move round. Because if you say you want to focus on one area and another area is suffering, it will come in the long run to affect everything. Because if you look at the insurgency, the kidnappings, it still have the issue with poverty to some extent, because you cannot take advantage of people that have something to do. But in terms of the budgetary, we can do, and like I get to listen to a particular state giving a particular amount. For me, it's too paltry a sum to give to fallen heroes. You know, as a state government who have, you know, a lot of apparatus to make do with, 5 million naira is such a small money. Because if you look at the impact, perhaps we can also do more. Like she's rightly mentioned, she's for corporate. We can also engage all these corporate organizations. They could focus their CSR on this area, perhaps taking these widows from this poverty level, because the more they have poverty, their children will be suffering and they may lack quality education.
Stephen, I want to bring you in now, and I want you to take it up from where he left it, talking about issues around poverty, poor education, poor access to healthcare, because we know that at some point it's almost looking like for those at the bottom of the chain, health and education is becoming a luxury, and that shouldn't be the case. So I want you to bring it together, basically connect the dots for me, because a lot of this affect human capital development. Certainly. And those are the indexes that investors look at, and they bring monies to your country.
You see, when you lack certain basic amenities like health, education and all that, this breeds insecurity. Because people that or individuals or citizens that lack these amenities now begin to see how to look out for ways, derive ways, by possibly going to crime to see how to raise some money to take care of some of these challenges, you know. So I think that it is very important for these issues to be addressed. And going further, I want to suggest, because an average Nigerian soldier, his wife is a rank ahead of his rank, if you know she.
Ahead of, yes, ahead of the husband.
So, yeah, so if that is the case, if the soldier or the officer dies, for me, there's huge corruption going on in the pensions board and all that. In the event where a soldier dies, if you go to the record, you see that the pension and others are still collected. Who takes the money? So in the event where a soldier dies in the line of duty, I don't see anything. Why will you now begin to say how to stop the pension? I would want to advise that or suggest that such pension can continue to go to their wives. It is a way of trying to see how to handle all these situations. You know, the wife is a soldier. You know, so why will you now stop the pension? You stop the pension in the real sense of it, as in physically, but on record, the money still comes.
Are passing through some channels.
The monies are still coming. So if the government will now derive a means or make a law surrounding this and say, okay, if a soldier dies in the line of duty or however he dies, the pension that comes to him should equally go to the wife, and see how she will now begin to see how to use these resources and take care of the children. I think it will bring down some of these issues we are talking about. You know,
I want to bring in Morenike now to take it up from where you left it, because I see her body movement. I see that she's passionate about what we are discussing, and I see some part of it coming from a place of unhappiness with the kind of treatment that these widows are receiving, or these dependents that have been left behind by fallen heroes are receiving. Now, Stephen has said that these monies are passing through some channels. They are not, even if they are not going to the wives of the fallen heroes, monies are still changing hands. Is there some kind of interface with the PENCOM from your end, from the Nigerian Legion end, or what is being done?
There is nothing like this. Like he said earlier on, immediately a soldier died, the pension stopped. After that, the family is left on their own. I don't know. I can't talk for that. The government should know what to do about that. Because, like, some soldiers marry very late, some marry when they were generals, and some soldiers marry after they've served for about 20, 30 years, and will retire after 35 years. Some officers retire before 35 years because age and rank. And if this person married at the age of 35 years and after 30 years in service, and the person is being retired, you're a woman, maybe the child will be about 2-3 years.
Yes.
How do you want, like the lady that lady reached today, the husband died about how many years ago? There is a widow that is always coming to me. She was pregnant when the bomb blast killed the husband. What do you expect from that kind of a woman? People that know very well in the military, not giving, I didn't say they should not give work to civilians in the Ministry of Defense. They should allow the soldiers, they should allow the services that know good things, that really know well about the service to take care of themselves, not a civilian. I don't know whether money changes anywhere, but they should give these people the servicing, and the way it's being done all over the world. I've gone around to see how can we manage these widows, how can we manage this less privilege, what is happening. We just came back from America. I go around the whole veterans in the whole country to look at the way veterans. You come here, some widow will come to your office and say that, Madam, I don't even have money to go back home. We don't even have something to eat at home. I'm pleading, not only to the government alone, individually. Legion House is there. You can come and contribute and put whatever you want to put there. Not only money. If you feel that maybe somebody will steal your money, even though it's food, whatever you can do. Just come and put it there. When these people come around, so that we can see something to give to them. You know what it means when your husband died. You know what it means to take care of home alone.
I see so much. I think we all understand.
It's not just to do it today alone. Yes, after today, that's the end. These women and their children are suffering. We should not leave it for government alone. People are packing billions everywhere.
It's not a good look as it is now. And one cogent point.
I'm a mother. I know what it is. It's painful. You go out and come back and see your children, no food to eat. No, sometimes these widows, they don't even have husband, family to even cater for them, because Africa is when you have money, you see people around you. Talk less when the man don't even have anything to give you before he died.
I will come back to you, Morenike, now. Stephen, I still want us to stay with this issue, because then again, this is the crux of the matter, actually, on a day like this. We can, in as much as we know that there's still, it's a marathon and not a sprint to get the security issues settled. What, beyond some of the solutions you have provided, is there a short-term or probably long-term way to address this issue? She talked about bringing more veterans into the security sector, as opposed to carrying people from other places, because they already have the capacity to do that. Speak to me about what you think.
Yeah, I did an article published like 2 years ago, Vigilantism, a Panacea for Security Presence in Rural Areas. You know, most of our crimes are local. Crime, let me just say crime is local, you understand? And in one of my recommendations, I recommended that veterans that are retired, that most of them have gone back to their local communities, you know. So I made a recommendation that they should be inculcated into the community policing structure, you know, or policy that the police, the national police has provided, you know, to see how they interface with the conventional security agencies, you know, to see how to provide solutions to some of these security challenges that happens within our local communities, you know. Yes, we have able-bodied boys that are civilians, you know, but just the way Morenica said, they have been trained, you know, sponsored by government, both within and outside the country for trainings and all that. So that they have come to learn. You don't expect them to retire with it and just go on. You see, it's so unfortunate that I see in Nigeria that retired generals become farmers. It's so saddening. They are farmers. They have left their core profession that they have served this country for 35 years. They've been to India, Pakistan, and all that, US. You know, government trained them, they came back, retired, and they ended up becoming farmers. Why won't you now engage these people? We have said this in times without number. I saw that the current Chief of Defense Staff has tried to see how to engage retired officers at that level and all that. But down the local, down the ladder, you should see that all these other ranks are also involved in trying to see how to fight insecurity. You know, so it's important to bring everybody on board. You know, security is everybody's responsibility, both the veterans serving and ordinary civilians and all that, and even active civilians like us. Yes. You know, so it's everybody's responsibility. All hands must be on deck. Whatever solutions that you think that we can profile to see that insecurity issues are drastically reduced, because just the way you said, there's a symbiotic relationship between economy and security. In the event where the economy is thriving well, it means that there's security in place, you know, because you know how it affects the economy when we're having security issues. There's a dwindle in my brother here, the economist, knows that it will affect government revenue, you know, it will increase unemployment, you know, and it will dry out investors. You know, they will refuse to come because the country, if you see, globalization and the advent of ICT has affected the current state of Nigeria, meaning that outside this world, outside Nigeria, if you go to the internet via your mobile phone or your computer system and all that, and you type Nigeria and insecurity, you see a whole lot of information there. True. So once these people outside the investors or invest outside these countries go do what I've just said, you would think they will begin to bring their resources into this country? Let me
taking it up from the investment angle, the FDI angle that Stephen has dropped it. I want to give the baton now to you to speak to issues around economic losses now, because at this point, Nigeria is still counting her losses from the insecurity menace. Issues around, because if you recall, the data I reeled out, about 653.7 million naira was paid as ransom in Nigeria between July 2021 and June 2022. Businesses are also losing monies. And you mentioned that the issue of insecurity is multifaceted. There's the farmer headers crisis, there's issue of insurgency, there's kidnapping. Now, I want you to speak to these as it relates to the economics of the issue. Because then again, economy, you cannot talk about security in isolation from economics.
Right. For about 2 months, September, November, I was in northwest Nigeria, the 7th state, and I covered 186 local governments to get some research done there. Do you know that there are a lot of places that you cannot even access in those areas? Basically, some area they will say don't go with your phone if it is an Android phone. Some they will tell you that you can come in, but not with an Android phone. Some you cannot even access. In fact, some health facilities there are collapsed. You know, where they are supposed to get some vaccines, they have to like pack it and said, no, we cannot work there again. So a lot of things are suffering because of insecurity. That's for health issues. But when we talked about economies, you know, if you look at health, once you hear maybe there will be a kind of attack, you will not want to go to farm. Look at the number of IDPs that we have. If you look at most areas that this insurgency is happening, their major mainstay is farming. That means you have taken that away from them. You know, their livelihood have been, you know, affected. Yeah. And apart from that, even Nigeria as a country do not enjoy when there is insecurity. You know, our GDP, like I said, we are average of 1.1%. You know what that means? That means it's like we are just not growing at all. In the face of the world problem too, you know, like we said, you know, if we have a good economy base, especially farming, this world problem wouldn't have been as this because of insecurity. We are facing it as it is. Then if you look at expenditure as well on these things, it's it got a whole lot. You know, you have to collapse a lot of things in the economy. You know, socio-economic infrastructure cannot be built because of that, and you cannot even develop those areas. So a lot of things are waiting. So we must find a way. Like I said, we must go beyond weaponry. Yeah. Solve the Nigerian problem, we must go beyond weaponry. Because if you look at even the number of weapons that is with this insurgency and terrorists, you know, is far even more than what is in our military people. So we must look at it. It's multidimensional. The one that need to, you know, dialogue, we just have to go for dialogue. The one that need direct attack, we have to go for it, and we have to do more. Because we have been expending money since about 7 years, and it's kept increasing day after day. So that means we need another solution, and we must go maybe information technology at this point in time. You can't just face people and be fighting war at this point in time. You have to go more. So in terms of economic loss, it's quite huge, and Nigeria government need to do more. If not, we keep on expanding. And that now, like I said, the health and the education together is not even up to security budget. Okay. Before you know, it affects other things, and we have to do more about that.
Stephen, I want to come back to you now. According to the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, the Boko Haram insurgency led to the death of 100,000 persons, caused damages worth $9 billion. That's about 3.24 trillion naira in naira terms, and it has been postulated that this figure might even be more than this, or it might even grow in coming times. Of course, I don't want to be a prophet of doom in this situation, but I want you to, what does this statement, or what does this figure mean to you? Do you think this figure can be contested?
Yeah, it can be contested. For me, I think that number is even slow. It's even low. Ordinarily, because the way our manner these terrorists and bandits are killing our security agents and all that. So for me, that number, I think they need to really look at it and truly come out to tell us the numbers of military and the police. I don't know if the police is inclusive, you know, because even between September and December last year, the Daily Trust newspaper reported that about 47 police officers were killed, you know. So if you begin to look at that number, you know that perhaps police is not inclusive, you know. But the fact of the matter is that there's a lot that they need to do in terms of professionalism, you know, because we have seen some couple of days ago, even the civil defense were ambushed and killed, about 7 of them, you know. So about 7 of them, yeah. So you see, I want to enjoy that they involve themselves into professional trainings in the way to see how to, you know, try to see that the way they are being ambushed, you know, they should have some foreknowledge about it and to see how to protect themselves. There's a lot that they need to do. From certain things that we have seen, professionalism has been relegated, you know, in the military, even in the police, you know, there's need for them to step up. How do they step up? Training, retraining. You know, these are key indicators.
Relearning in the
exactly, so that they will try to see how to cope some of these issues.
Let me get to Morenike now. And she was giving us the statistics of the civil defense corps that the country lost. I want you to speak to issues around policies. Now, what do you think should be the way we are looking at now? What path should we tread now in terms of tackling insecurity and also bringing some level of solace to dependents or wives, widows, children that these fallen heroes have left behind?
Number one, about the security. Like I said before, these veterans, like all these, what is it called, paramilitary, we can still engage them in paramilitary. Because the knowledge the paramilitary has, they don't have veterans' knowledge. No matter what they train them to be, it can never be the same. They can still bring in the military, the veteran, into the paramilitary to train them more in this security something. And about the widows and the children they left behind, I'm still pleading. I feel the whole world can hear me. I'm pleading. Everybody should come to aid of these people. This insecurity we are talking about, When you don't take care of children, what do they become? When you neglect children, what do they become? We're talking about insecurity. Are we taking care of the children? Are we taking care of the orphans? Let's come together and take care of these children and their mothers and give them something and put something on the table. Everybody cannot go to school. Let's look for a way. Those days we used to have technical college.
Yes, vocational training.
Yes. Let's look for a way that we can train all these children and help their mothers out of poverty.
So helping, lifting these people out of poverty. We saw the multidimensional poverty report from the NBS talking about 133 million Nigerians being poor, and this situation should not get worse, especially for a country like Nigeria. Doctor, now, as a way of giving your closing thoughts, I know you're not a magician, but I want you to look into your crystal ball and tell me what should, going forward, this is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day for 2023. Before we get into the year 2024, what particular change do you want to see that has been effected?
All right, thank you. If you look at the poverty index, the last one of the measurements is shock. And shock simply means security challenges. And that's what they used to rate the multidimensional poverty. It simply means shock affects because everyone in Nigeria is conscious of insecurity. So that shock is one. Then number two, going forward, I think there's policy gap that governments need to go ahead to provide for our veterans and the widows, anything related to security. There is a serious policy gap, because how can someone go to war, lost his life, and his wife is left behind? Nobody take care of the children. It's a serious policy. So there should be policy that will be created that all these children, they must be educated from primary school to a particular level of education, and the wife gets some benefit from particular year to particular year. And I think that is the major thing. So it's a serious policy gap that we must look at. If not, we'll be running short of people that want to even join this job. Perhaps, if you look at these issues, it's cut across all rank of army, because we have seen jets coming down, generals dying. So it's everyone issue. I think we should look into it.
Okay, Stephen Okwori,
yes.
in 30 seconds, if you can, I want to put you as the head of the armed forces in Nigeria. What should be changed in 30 seconds?
What should be changed is just the way my brother here said, security is not weaponry. Certain basic things needs to be addressed. If you take care of unemployment and poverty, a lot will happen by the government. A lot will happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the panel that has joined me on the program today. Of course, this is a special Armed Forces Remembrance Day edition, talking about the contributions of our fallen heroes and basically how to make the life of dependents, wives, children, brothers, sisters, cousins that they have left behind, made their lives better. I was joined by Morenike Grace Henry. She is the Director of Corporate Affairs at the Nigerian Legion. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Also, I have Stephen Okwori. He joined us as a security analyst, and Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, financial analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program today to share your perspective. We hope that better will be done by the families of those left behind. And we continue to thank those at the front line for all the efforts, dogged efforts they put in to ensure that the country is safe. That's why we draw the curtains today. We thank you for investing your time with us. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the special Armed Forces Remembrance Day coverage. Don't forget, you can get all updates on our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Get updates as they break. Now, up next, we have the documentary on the Southern. It promises to be interesting, and I'm sure you don't want to miss out on it. I am Christiana Amodu Otinya. Thank you for joining in. Continue to stay safe.